You will suffer. No, I'm not like threatening you or anything. That kind of sounded like a threat. I'm not saying, for example, that if you were to not like this video and also subscribe, that I would inflict some kind of pain onto you. That's not what I'm saying at all. That would be, I would even go as far as to say preposterous. But I also wouldn't chance it. Like, I'm just saying, like, allegedly, let's say you didn't do that with preferably your tiniest toe, and there was a possibility that I would inflict some pain. I personally, that were me on the receiving end, I wouldn't chance that. I'm just saying, have a think, keep an open mind. At risk. Okay, pal. What I mean is that suffering is inevitable. We'll all experience loss, whether it's losing people or even losing like opportunities. It's impossible to avoid entirely, but it's extremely possible to make it easier to get through. This one habit that I'll be talking about in this specific video, it won't be the cure for suffering, of course. It will just be one single habit that you can spend like 5 minutes on every single day that would drastically reduce the amount that you do suffer, and also make it far easier to accept those periods of your life where you are suffering and get through them sooner. The reason why we suffer in the first place is largely to do with being in our own heads. If we just didn't think after, you know, losing someone we love or fumbling some sort of opportunity, then I don't think we would suffer a whole lot. We'd suffer a lot less, right? Because we wouldn't be thinking of, you know, what could have been, what we have lost, what was before. We won't be thinking about what we could have done to prevent that loss, like how different things could have been, basically. We wouldn't be thinking about the nice memories that we've had with somebody that we've just lost, and how we felt in those moments. Suffering is amplified by our conscious minds and thinking too much, essentially. So the habit of this video is to stop thinking, which would actually be pretty cool if you could just turn it off. But we can't, so we've got to, we can't go through it, we can't go under. I don't know, there was a song we used to sing in primary school, something about a bear. We're going on a bear hunt, but we can't go through the bear. No. The one habit that has helped me a lot getting through loss or even periods of stagnation where maybe I'm lost in life, like I haven't lost something, I just don't know what I'm doing, really. Is gratitude journaling. I really truly believe this habit will help you too. I believe this habit is the single best kind of cure that we have for specifically the thinking portion of suffering. So obviously you're gonna suffer, right? You're gonna be in pain, even if you don't think, and even if your mind is occupied by something else. But like we said, that's largely it. Largely the reason why we suffer is because of how much we think. I truly believe that this single habit is the closest thing that we have that's like natural, like not like drugs or something, to a kind of cure, almost like a kind of cure to specifically the thinking parts, the conscious parts of suffering. Obviously, working out, spending quality time with your family and friends, even like working on some sort of work project, are all fantastic ways to kind of take your mind off the suffering. And I of course believe that all of those things should be practiced like anyway, regardless of whether you're sad or not. You'll be less sad when you have a life where you have good company, you're looking after yourself physically, and you actually have like something, especially as a man, you actually have like a mission, like something to work on. But when it comes to controlling and taming the thinking side of suffering, practicing gratitude has done absolute wonders for me, and I'm going to talk about why I think that is. So we already established that what amplifies suffering are like constant thoughts of what exactly we lost, like constant thoughts about what we lost. Gratitude journaling, when you practice gratitude, it's forcing you to do literally the complete opposite of that. Practicing gratitude forces you to, in the moment, instead of thinking about what you've lost and what you don't have anymore, actually think about like the many wonderful things that you still have in your life, even if that's the ability to like still walk. I'll give you an example from like my personal experience. I've recently been suffering a kind of loss of my own, not to you know and make it all about me. But at the very beginning of the grieving process, I wasn't practicing gratitude. It's always been a part of like my ideal routine, but obviously when you get into like a mental health rut, like you're suffering a little bit mentally, you typically tend to fall off your routines. So when my mind wasn't occupied by gym, work, some sort of company, it was occupied by the kind of thoughts that we spoke about earlier. When I did start to gratitude journal, I kind of forced myself to think about the fact that I still literally have my mother downstairs, right? I still have all of my siblings alive and healthy living in the house with me. I still have my dad downstairs. If all of these business attempts fell flat and we're back to square one, my family would support me financially. I forced myself to think about the fact that I can afford a gym membership, the fact that I have an iPhone 11, which is like a little bit old now, right? But it works and it has data and it has an internet connection, and I'm literally recording on it right now. I even went as far as to write about the fact that I still have working legs, right? Which sounds like a little bit ridiculous. It sounds a little bit extreme. But dude, some people are crippled. Some people, I find it quite convenient, the fact that I can walk places and the fact that I can run. I quite enjoy running. I just recently got into running like a couple of months ago. I play football like once or twice a week. I love football. If I didn't have legs, I wouldn't be able to play football, right? That's some people's reality, and it's a lot fucking worse than mine. I'm also a big fan of the fact that I have hands, right? Working hands. They're quite handy. No. Every pun intended, like all the puns that could be intended there, intend them. Quite convenient to be able to like pick things up. Like I got my alarm clock here. Lift weights. I wouldn't be able to actually lift weights. I love lifting weights. Gym is like my favorite sport. I wouldn't be able to do that if I didn't have hands. I don't know, maybe they got like some kind of fucking device for people who don't have hands, like a hook that you like attach to your, I don't know, but either way I like the fact that I've got hands. It makes things a lot easier. I'm grateful that I don't have to walk around with some kind of machine that helps me breathe or like helps me eat. There's this device that some diabetic people, I think, I could be very wrong on that, but it's like a glucose monitor, and they have it like either on their arm or like on their waist, I think. I could be wrong here, it could be the complete wrong disease that I'm talking about, but it essentially just measures their glucose levels. Even though I'm sure the people who wear those have like probably have like a really high quality of life, right? And obviously they're in no way like beneath me or less capable than me, but I'm allowed to personally be grateful for the fact that I just don't have to worry about that. Like that's not something that I have to ever worry about. I'm grateful for the air quality here in the UK, which is something that I'm sure like less than 1% of British citizens have ever fully grasped. And because most people don't practice gratitude, right? So most people aren't grateful for the small things. But dude, compared to the rest of the world, like the UK's air quality is great. Like it's fantastic. There's a website, actually I can show you a website. Hold on. All right, I was going to show you but I just can't find a good website that doesn't dox me. Maybe I'll put like a clip in afterwards. Basically there's like you can just type in world air quality or like air quality map or something, and you can see that like in the UK for the most part, like Europe and stuff, it's quite clean. Like the air quality is quite good. You go to like India, you go to like the Middle East, you go to like even China, like a lot of parts of Africa, South America, it's just terrible, like hazardous in some places. And so I'm so grateful that like, you know, I can walk outside and I won't basically suffocate. I can go on all day about things that I'm really grateful for, but I want you to understand that the idea of this is not to completely avoid. I mean, you wouldn't be able to completely avoid, but it's not to attempt to avoid a mourning period or like a grieving period at all, because I believe those are absolutely necessary as a human. Like when you experience some kind of emotional trauma as a human being, like you're supposed to release it. I'm not quite sure, like I'm not too educated on like the best ways to do that. I just know that if you keep emotional trauma in, like you're gonna suffer, or someone's gonna suffer. Like it's gonna come out in some way that's gonna hurt someone else, or it's gonna hurt you, or it's just not gonna be good. But the idea is to limit total suffering by balancing a mourning period with like at least I still have this, right? At least my life isn't this bad. You can also strip gratitude from whatever you have just lost. So for example, if you've just gotten out of a relationship, I guarantee that there's at least one thing from that entire relationship that you learn about yourself, about relationships in general, about anything, that you can say like, I'm grateful for that. At least if you've lost a family member, you can find gratitude in a deep conversation that you had with them at some point, maybe something they taught you, maybe just the fact that they existed in your life at all. You know, maybe they made certain periods of your life easier for you. If you've lost an opportunity, you can say, okay, well, I lost an opportunity, but at least I got the opportunity, right? At least some people maybe wouldn't even have had the opportunity in the first place. I had an opportunity to fumble. I fumbled it. There's something I can probably learn for next time to make sure I don't fumble the next one. And if I fumble the next one as well, sure, whatever. Like, I just, you know what I mean? You know what I'm trying to say? It's like, there's so much gratitude that you can pull from everything. When you start to focus on the good in your life, you'll stop focusing on all the bad and what could have been and what never will be. There's a reason why it's very beneficial to make gratitude journaling or practicing gratitude a daily habit, and that's because of the way that your brain is going to function when you've kind of done enough repetition. If you spend just 5 to 10 minutes every single day forcing yourself to think of things that you're grateful for, whether it's things that have happened, things you've achieved, luxuries or privileges that you have, you're going to start thinking of these things throughout the day. Imagine how much happier the person who misses the bus, and then when he does eventually get on like the next bus or something, he thinks, well, at least I'm on the bus, right? At least like I'm on a bus. At least I can afford this bus. At least the next bus it was only like 15 minutes later. Imagine how much happier he's going to be compared to the guy who misses the bus and like his day is ruined. Like his entire, and he has so many things to still be grateful for, but he's just, and sure, like you can be upset about these things, but I'm saying like the guy who strips gratitude when he can, and then the guy who doesn't think of gratitude at all. And it's just like, this thing has gone wrong, so this has ruined his day. Like I said, you can still be pissed off at the fact that you like missed the bus. The guy who strips the good out of his life, the guy who subconsciously strips gratitude from everything that happens, is going to be much happier and going to have a much easier life than the guy who doesn't. If you journaled consistently about your parents, you would think more about how they're trying to put food on the table every single day, how maybe they worked really hard when you were younger, and maybe less about some kind of trauma that they gave you or some way that they've treated you. You'd start to cherish conversations with them and actually feel motivated to like spend time with them, because you'd start thinking more about how when you do eventually leave home, you're probably not going to see them as much. You'd start thinking about how they're getting older. You'd start thinking about these things that you would only have thought about after maybe losing them or losing something about, and that would naturally kind of motivate you to just, I don't know, spend less time on your phone and spend more time with. Practicing gratitude daily would not only allow you to suffer less, but it would also allow you to act much differently in ways that maybe you would only have acted if circumstances were different or worse. Like I said, if, I don't know, one of your parents like got really ill and then they recovered, maybe during that period where they're really sick, you would start thinking like, oh, I wish I spent more time with them, I wish I spoke to them about these things. It's only those circumstances when that does eventually happen where you're like, okay, like when you do get the second chance and they actually recover, you're like, okay, I'm gonna actually spend time with them now, like I'm actually gonna talk to them. And I truly believe that there isn't a single person on this planet who wouldn't benefit from becoming more grateful subconsciously, like day to day. So here's how I personally practice gratitude. I do it in the form of journaling. So I've got this journal here, and what I'll do right now is I'll just fill one single page every single day. I try my best to write a good amount, but I also have days where I'll write like 1 or 2 sentences. I'm never too fussed on the number of things that I'm grateful for. I just try my best to fill the page. So I've literally wrote here, this was yesterday, I wrote, I'm grateful for the fact I have working hands. So I couldn't even really read my fucking handwriting. I'm grateful for my working shower. Pretty self-explanatory. I have a shower in my house. It works. It helps me become clean. I'm grateful I still have my wonderful family with me. Kind of gay, but I'm grateful I still live with my family. I'm grateful for the training session I had last night. Felt like prime footy days. I just started playing football again, five-a-side. And obviously I haven't played football in like 5-6 years since high school. I'm trying to find one that isn't so gay. I'm grateful for the lift I was given by one of my mates back to the station after training. I went to training. It was like a little kind of far from my house. I had to take a train there. A train and then a little walk. My mates gave me a lift back to the train station. So I was very grateful for that. Very grateful. I don't want it to be a habit that like I sigh at because I'm like, I gotta write, like my hand's gonna hurt at the end of the page. Like I don't want it to feel like that at all. You could even just do this in your phone, like on your notes app or on your laptop. But I personally like think there's something different about writing, but I personally like the idea of having like a book dedicated to it. Like it's just, I don't know, dude. One of the best ways to practice gratitude, and you might not be able to make this like a daily thing. I maybe wouldn't make this I mean, you can, but I haven't personally made this a daily thing, and you might not be able to, is to literally just actually tell people, like the people in your life, like actually tell them how grateful you are for them. Actually tell them something that you're grateful for about them. Like sure, it might come across as a little bit gay if you just start like telling your boys how much like you're grateful for them. They might like call you a fucking bender or something. But I guarantee like if they're a good person with a good heart, like that will stick with them. Like they might not think about it in the moment, but they will go home and they will, or like if you've texted them or something, they will think about it. That will be on their mind. They'll be like, oh, that's pretty nice, and they will appreciate you more. Maybe also someone like your mum and dad. I've spoken a lot about parents, but it's because like it's like genuinely so many people they never grow to understand their parents ever, like the way their parents raised them. Sure, a lot of people have healthy relationships with their parents, but some people don't. Some people don't have very healthy relationships with their parents, and they never learn to understand them, and they never learn to actually enjoy being around them. But maybe they've been trying. Maybe their best wasn't great, but maybe they were trying their entire life. And maybe they're really trying now. And so just telling, like you can imagine, like maybe your mum does a lot of work around the house. Maybe your dad works a job that he absolutely fucking hates just to provide for you and your family. Imagine how you would feel as a father who's slaving away in a shit job. You've made mistakes in your life, sure, whatever. You made mistakes with your kids or whatever, but you're still slaving away just to feed them. Imagine your son comes up to you and he like puts his hand on your shoulder. He says, I'm grateful for you, Dad. I'm grateful that you work so hard. I know you probably hate it, but you do it nonetheless for us. And I just want to let you know that I acknowledge that and I'm really grateful for it. Once again, a bit gay, but I guarantee your relationship with your dad is gonna then just be miles better, and everybody would want that. Okay, everyone. So those are the two best ways to do it. I literally just got this off Amazon for like a while back, probably about £7. I think it came in a pack of 2. There were that one, and then there was a black one. Whoa, can't say that. Send your nan a message telling her that you're really grateful for how she feeds you up like a little piggy whenever you go over, because that's like basically a universal experience, I think. You could actually be like an obese individual and your nan would still look you in the eyes and say, you haven't got enough meat on you, you haven't, you gotta eat a little bit more, and then like force feed you a tin of rice pudding. God, I fucking love rice pudding. And custard. I'm grateful for rice pudding, and I'm grateful for custard, and I'm also grateful for nan. So that'll be all for today.